Let's do that again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dancers That Shoot, your #1 spot for content creators and Latin dancers. My name is Brandon Walker, and today I have another amazing and special guest. Today we have Mr. Ja-Mel Vereen. I've been trying to get this guy on the channel for the longest, and I finally got him on. So we are going to get into some things today. Ja-Mel, thank you again for being on today. I really do appreciate you making time to be on and coming to, talk with me and the rest of my viewers. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate it, man.
Nah, the pleasure's all mine. Thanks for even thinking of having me. I'm excited for this.
Cool beans. So let's here's the thing. So I think that it's a better idea for you to introduce yourself, like do a full introduction, because you are just involved in so much stuff when it comes to just Philly in general, right? So give the audience just a little rundown of what you do and just how you have just like a hand in everything around here.
I'm glad it looks that way, because sometimes I don't feel like I'm not doing enough. First and foremost, I am Jay the Gentleman, content creator for waterice.com, your scoops everything Philly. It's a Philly local lifestyle magazine where we do all sorts of content, whether it's video, podcast, written content. We curate events. We just try to put a spotlight on all things going on in the city of brotherly love. On top of that, I am with a company called Unique Entertainment. It is a traveling entertainment game show, basically, where we host team building and just fun game shows for summer camps, corporate conferences, school assemblies, private events, birthday parties, you name it. Multimedia event entertainment company that I've been with for 6 years. The company's been around for about 30, to be honest. And we literally travel around the country entertaining folks. So I'm doing that, and I think that's about it.
like that's not enough, right?
Nah, yeah. I also do stuff, some freelance hosting that kind of correlates with Water Ice, but I also MC events, whether it's fundraisers or weddings, birthday parties, whatever. I also do that as well on the side, which maybe we'll talk about later. Planning for 2021.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to remember how we initially met, because when we initially met, I didn't realize that both of us like ran the same circles and knew the same people. But if I'm not mistaken, I think the first time I met you was at my roommate's annual holiday party. Is that where I met you, or were we introduced?
That's where we first met in person. Yeah.
Okay.
We ran in the same circles, whether it's from Esencia Latina or just that dance culture in general within the Philly scene. And I think we were friends on Facebook because we would like see each other at events, but we never really connected. But we had a lot of mutual friends. And then it was a holiday party that you guys threw, which was one of the best holiday parties I've ever been to. It was so much fun.
So we gotta talk about this to the audience really quick. So my roommate, ever since I moved in, we basically had this holiday party here at our Old City apartment, and we literally would stuff like 50, 60 people in here across 3 floors. It was almost like a miniature club, almost. Like we had a beer pong table. We had a DJ set up in the kitchen that were live streaming to Facebook. We had
video games
on a projector in my room. We had like it was but it was crazy in a good way though. It
was basically all the fun people in the city, like DJs and bartenders. Like it was that. We had video games and board games and drinking games. Like I wanted to say, why haven't I been coming here forever? Like it was so much fun. Yeah, that's the first time we officially met. And the other reason why was because especially when people have too much to drink, they thought that I was you and vice versa. So they as they were leaving, they're like,
I'm like, no, I don't have enough facial hair for that. I'm still working to get to that point. So I'm not
It was
there
definitely
yet.
the hair, our stature. They were like, hey, great party. I'm like, cool. You're welcome. Like I wasn't even in my party. They're like, oh, you're not Brandon. Sorry. Yeah, so there was a lot of that mixing up, but yeah, that was the first time we actually met in person.
And what was so funny that for the people that didn't realize, or did realize, I should say, that we weren't the same person, I would ask people at the party, do you know Jamal? Like, yeah, of course I know Jamal. And then people started coming up to me, telling me about you. This is like half the people at the party. It's like, who does he not know? Like, I don't understand this, but it's cool. It's all cool though. That's
no. I laugh only because I always say I don't know people, and I say that only because like I'm so bad with names. I remember faces, but I'm just bad with names. So I'm just like, I don't know anybody. I'm just gonna show up, and I end up seeing people. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, all right, I know a few people. So I'm usually comfortable in those kind of situations. But I mean, when you're in the city for so long and you're in a social scene and you work in nightlife and whatever,
start getting to know people.
Yeah, and they start to recognize, what people within those circles and whatnot. So I just try to bounce around just so I could, keep my hands in different circles and stay friends with those kind of people.
Cool, yep. Cool. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so let's get into some things, right? So, sure. So my channel is split kind of half and half. It's split for dancers and then content creators, people that are on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, that sort of thing, and they use content either as a business medium or to contribute to their business, right? And I think that one of the best traits that you can have, or the best skills that you can have, is being able to network effectively and put yourself around the right kind of people that can help move your business forward, right? And this is probably one of the main thing for almost any business owner, regardless of what they're doing, to really learn how to do effectively. And I think that you've done that in spades, right? Like what would you say is the thing or a tip that you can give to somebody just starting out that's helped you become just so effective when it comes to just networking and getting yourself out there and getting to know the right people?
I mean, I think there's a couple pieces of advice I could give, but I think the first thing is just putting yourself out there first and foremost. I think a lot of people get uncomfortable with going into scenes or events where they won't know anybody, or they feel like they're not gonna know anybody, or they're gonna be a little timid. But that's like the first step. You just go, and then from there you figure it out. I mean, I think you hit it right on the head. Networking is vital, especially for content creation and just being in those just different social circles. There's a saying I remember from one of my favorite shows. It's something like sometimes it's more important with the business the company that you're with as opposed to the actual business that you're doing. Like, it matters who your people are, your support system, your closed circle. It matters more so who you're doing business with than the actual business that you're doing.
Right.
So it's important to network and kind of get out there to see who really, just to kind of see those common things with other people and be able to collaborate and whatnot. I think that's something that is vital for content creating, is collaboration.
Right.
Because not everybody, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, even going back to the story of how we met at your party, like, I think I brought a friend of mine, and we were like, let's just go and find, whatever. And that was when I got there, it was like all these people that, I've seen in other social events, or we follow each other on Instagram, but we never actually met. And, it just opens up the dialogue, and it opens up that opportunity to collaborate with each other. And that's exactly what happened. Like, I remember leaving the party with contacts and actually, working with those people for whether it was Water Ice or whatever they were doing. So I think it's just vital, man. Like what who you know is very important.
Exactly. Definitely. Cool. So let's talk about basically how you got started with this, because you're a Temple alumni, right?
Yeah.
Go to you. From there, I think, like, did you immediately go into I want to call it like public office. That's kind of what I call people that do kind of what we do, right? We're always amongst people that are really good with networking. But did you go immediately into? I mean, I know you've been immediately go into doing that sort of thing. But like, what led from Temple to you doing what you're doing now, as far as like kind of public relations and
Sure.
working with different business owners and content creators and that sort of thing?
Well, it's I'm gonna try to make it as short as possible because there was a lot of stepping stones.
There's a lot of parts involved.
Very much so. I mean, you're talking about. I mean, when I finished school, it was 2008, so I gotta go back a little bit. But when I went to Temple, I went to school for it was broadcasting, telecommunications, mass media. That was my major. Now it's like, I think now the major is called digital media, something, whatever. But my focus was TV production, and so I was already in that realm of content. Whether it was like we went to school. At school, we would do stuff for like TV production, so news anchor, producer, stage man, like that kind of stuff. Very traditional. And at that time, around when I was going to college, there was a shift in social media. So I was in school when Facebook had just started. Like, I remember at
the beginning.
Yeah, like, no, I remember,
level.
I remember vividly, like, my friend, shout out to Val, she was like, yo, you need to see this thing called Facebook. I remember, and I think January of 2005 was when I got on. And it was still like, were you going to be in college to be on Facebook?
Right.
That was like the glory days.
Yeah, MySpace. I think MySpace was still big at that point.
MySpace was
it was like the transfer.
Everything. Yeah. MySpace was running everything, everybody, the top 8, all that. So it was that era, right?
Right.
I remember I had the iPod, and I was like I was so gassed because it was so cool. Like the iPod on that, So you gotta think, there was no, like, everybody still had flip phones, like the sidekicks, like it was that era. Like, so you saw that shift, right?
You're giving away both of our ages at this point.
Oh, that's fine. It's totally cool. I'm not even going front. Like, that was a really cool time to be in college. Like, it was really, really fun. So just to kind of give people, like, that was that era, So to be honest, a lot of stuff that I learned in college is antiquated. I don't even use it now. Like, I mean, the mass comm theories, all that stuff is very important because it is prevalent to what's happening with technology. It gets faster every 2 years. It gets cheaper. It gets powerful. It gets smaller. All that stuff that you learn.
Right.
So I went to school for that, and then when I graduated, it was hard to find a job. That was the recession. The big collapse, and I just kind of did odd jobs here and there. I ended up moving to Chicago for a couple months because a friend, pretty much my mentor, but my best friend, he was like, yo, we're in Chicago, him and another frat brother of mine. There's a room opening, just come to Chicago, just something new, and, just figure it out. Well, don't worry about, paying rent or whatever. Just, just kind of, maybe you need a new setting. So I was like, cool, I have nothing to lose, whatever. So I go over there, and then just did odd jobs, and I treated like finding a job as if it was a job. I was up at 8:30, sending emails, resumes, all that stuff till like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock p.m. every day. And in the meantime, finding odd jobs just to, have money, And then from there, that's when I got a job working. I found this job working as a entertainment host on a cruise ship. And that's when I started my career as a cruise ship host. Yeah. So, kind of rewind real quick. In college, when I was in fraternity, I was in other student organizations on campus, like Essentia and like Adele and Hands, which was like a what do you call community service organization. Okay. So I would host events. We would host programs, whether educational or entertainment, whatever. So that's where I kind of really started to kind of be comfortable in front of people as a host. And then from there, I kind of just did stuff here and there. But then when I got into the cruise ship, that's where
everything started taking off.
That was my job title. I was literally an entertainment host. I was a host. So I did that for 2 years, and you got to imagine we do 6-month contracts at a time, and there's literally, you work every day literally for 6 months, whether it's 2 hours or 12. And you just got to imagine like everything from karaoke, from comedy club, trivias, board game shows, whatever. We hosted everything. So that really got my chops up as far as finding my style as a host, finding my groove, what works, what doesn't work, and then also being in front of different types of crowds every week.
Right.
You may have a crowd that is just everything works and it's just great, and you may have a crowd where it's like older, so they may not get the jokes or whatever. So it's gonna be a long crowd, or you guys switch it up. So I did that, and then 2 years. I did that for 2 years, and then after that, I became I did like some random stuff. Like I was an activities manager for a nonprofit, and I started doing promoting parties and whatnot. Worked at Cuba Libre for a little bit here in Philly and Atlantic City. And during that whole, even before working with Cuba though, I kind of got back to Philly, and I was like, all right, I was probably gone for about 5 years off and on. I was like, let me get back to Philly and kind of really rethink on what I want to do as a person, right, and kind of grow. Now it's like my 20s. I did all my 20s. I traveled. I did some really cool stuff. Now it's like, all right, 30s. Let's move to the future. Like let's grow something. And I wanted to get back into content, like video content, and being a host and doing some cool segments, things like that. Because I had a lot of ideas of what I think would be cool, especially for Philadelphia, because there's so much to do. And that's when another frat brother of mine, Hector, he had started Water Ice in 2014. And it was really just a blog. It was straight up blog.
I remember when it was just online. It was just, I remember those
very
days.
simple. He might have done a couple of video interviews. It was very raw. Like I'm telling you, like the mic was like, it was like one of those mics you find at Walmart, like in the toy section. It was like,
I remember
but he was doing it on his phone, and it was something that he had wanted to do for a long time. And then later on that year, I was like, I hit him up and like, hey, I want to do some video stuff, and I see what you're doing with Water Ice. It's cool. What do you think about me, like, joining the team? He was like, yes, you're perfect for it. Like, I don't want, right. Like, I don't want to be in front of the camera. I just want to be behind the camera. I want to learn. Like, he learned how to do all that, like video work and editing and all that stuff. He learned that off of YouTube. He didn't go to school for that. Like, exactly. So a lot of like we pretty much just learned on the fly, and I think that's just the best way to do it. We were like, let's just figure it out, And we did it, and we started doing it, and we did a lot of restaurant openings, and we just reached out to people like, hey, we want to just do an interview. It's not going to cost you nothing. It's going to give you exposure. And for about probably 2 years solid, like running and gunning, we didn't make a dime. We were just we had our day jobs, and we were doing this like on our spare time. And, little by little, we started making these really cool connections with people in the restaurant industry, in the nightclub industry, in the public relations firm, like PR firms. And we were on time. We were, our work was quality. We didn't, if we told you it's going to be ready in a week, it was ready in 3 days. Like, we did a lot of that stuff pro bono and on the run, and we were just figuring it out. And now it's 6 years later, and we're going on year 7.
That's awesome, dude. And
no, I just went through a whole like timeline.
No, but that's good. That's like I really do feel as though that it's really important to for people to understand where you come from, right? I've interviewed about 3 or 4 other people so far, and I had each one of them kind of delve into their beginnings as far as where they are right now as a content creator or a business owner, or a dancer. And it's important for people to realize that, because a lot of times people will think that you have to have like so much training to do this, or you have to go to school for something specific. And it's like, no, like if you have the tenacity, if you have the drive, the information is out there, especially right. with advent of YouTube. I mean, you can literally learn almost anything for free on YouTube. It's out there. You just got to put in the work, like with anything, and keep grinding, and you'll get to where you want to be. It's just you got to put in that work. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind going through that whole, like you said, like that whole story, because I want people to realize that it's not like a straight line. It's gonna go like this, it's gonna go like this, it's gonna go like this, and it's gonna come back like, and like unless you want to do like the more traditional stuff like news anchor, like that industry is very network internship at a TV studio or whatever. Work your way up, then maybe you'll get a reporting job that's gonna be like $30,000 a year, and then you do that for a couple of years. Like you have to go to school, or you got to like really know people to do that form of content, right? But like you said, I went to school when YouTube had just. I remember the first video I watched on YouTube. I was like, "It's crazy."
He's like,
Yeah, and then you saw how people started getting creative with these videos, and YouTube and just digital media gave people the freedom. That's what more important. Like, yeah, you could take stuff from traditional TV production and traditional things like that, but you could do whatever you want, and that's the beauty of it. And you see it now. We kind of take it for granted now because now it's just part of everyday life. But you got to think, when this was happening, this was new. This is like, oh, you got some woman in Oklahoma who has 1 million subscribers, and you're just like, what? Why?
Yeah, and all she's doing is like opening toys or baking cakes and just being funny while she's doing it. It's just like,
we're very simple creatures, man. It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot to entertain. But it's just like, it's just figuring that stuff out,
Exactly. I wanted to go back really quick to the part where you were talking about how, if you want to get into, like, let's say being an anchor for a major news station or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Contrary to now, where if you can actually go and make a career being in front of a camera on YouTube. Like we've seen multiple times people be able to do this, and we're not even talking about the PewDiePies and the Logan Pauls out there that have like millions and millions and millions of followers. Like you have people that are out here that have maybe 100, 200,000 subscribers, if not less than that, and are still being able to leverage that audience, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, what would you say? Because Water Ice, obviously, they've garnered their own reputation in the city, their own following, that sort of thing. Like, what advice would you give to people to try and develop their own brand that can start to attract an audience that they can leverage?
That's a good question. I think honestly, there's a saying that we say within our team is master your craft. You can't go in making videos like already knowing everything. You got to go in with an empty mind and open to suggestions, criticism, constructive criticism, researching, because like a lot of people that create content, I mean, there's some outliers that are completely original, but a lot of it's just taken from other people and rebranding or refurbishing it to your style, right? And which is totally cool. And I think with content creating within the digital realm, you're allowed to do that, because it's like, yeah, they do it. They might be talking about the same subject, but they say it this way, and this person says it this way. So I think when someone who's trying to really start their own brand and really go for it, I think more on a philosophical thing, like just go all in. Like if you're gonna do it, just go all in, and don't be afraid to learn something new, because you're going to, and it's just gonna help you as a creator get better with your craft, and ultimately that's what you want. Like you're not gonna be great when you first start. Matter of fact, you're gonna be terrible. And you got to be okay with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I go back and look at the first year of videos. I'm just like, whoa,
cringe fest. It's like, what the hell was I thinking?
But you're just trying to figure it out. You're not gonna come off as this polished, boom, have a rhythm. Like I said, there's a few outliers, and those are the ones obviously they're making the money off of the views and getting sponsorships or whatever, but you're gonna be terrible, and then you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with like, oh, that's how I sound. Yeah, maybe try maybe change it up a little bit, or stop saying or just little things like that. As the more you do it, the more you'll start to recognize, and the more you'll get polished. Is what I'm trying to say. It's just, if you're gonna do it, just go for it, and be afraid to sound crappy and look terrible. Try everything, and you'll see what works and what doesn't,
Right.
Like, don't try to do what other people are trying to do. Be yourself. Like, what do you want to do? What is it? How do you want to convey this message, whatever the message is? And then from there, you can kind of navigate, your own style.
Exactly. And just just so the audience knows, to this day I still hate the way I sound on camera. Like I hate the sound of my voice, right? That's why when I'm on stage, you see me dancing. You're never gonna see me singing
Right.
or anything along those lines. Even when I have like when I was doing like not speeches but like presentations and shit like that, I hated the sound of my voice. So I try not to do it that much, So,
No, I get it. I get it.
So let's talk about the big baby elephant in the room, the apocalypse, big old COVID, right?
Oh yeah,
So,
I forgot that happened this year.
Yeah. Right? It's like, wait, that is a thing, isn't it? Like, it unfortunately it has affected a lot of people. Surprisingly, for some people, it's affected them in better ways, and a lot of other people, it's affected them in worse ways. How would you say COVID has affected what you specifically do? Because a lot of what you do specifically has to deal with dealing with the public and being in person and being in the moment. So how has the pandemic, changed your business model and what you do as far as content creation and working with different brands and that sort of thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, like everybody else, it affected us immensely. I'll start with water ice, and then I'll go with the game show stuff. With water ice, it only affected us I won't say it only, but the major part of what we were trying to do this year was events. Like we had a whole from January, we already had events lined up all the way to October. Events, with different really cool stuff that we wanted to do with throughout the city. So obviously, we couldn't do that. I think we had one event that we did at the Fashion District. It was adult. It was like a game show.
Yes, sort of. I remember that. Yeah.
That was the only one, and it was sponsored by Tito's and Liquid Death, and that was the only one we were able to. And then we had the second event we were going to do was our third volume 3 of Soul in the City, which is like a live showcase for local artists within the Philly, New Jersey area. That was going to be the week where they canceled. It was like that week. So for as far as like for water ice, it affected us with the events because we had everything already planned, and that was going to be like one of the things that we really like went all in on. And then the other way it affected us was just our relationships with restaurants, and we would go to events and cover the events and stuff like that. I mean, it didn't affect like our relationship. It just affected them because
the actual event, basically.
Right, the actual event or the restaurants or the bar, whatever the case may be. So obviously I mean, the restaurant service industry had their own issues that they had to worry about as far as COVID and figuring out like how to adapt. And then for the game show the game show company that I work with, it affected us huge because that is what we do. We go to big crowds and we host these game shows that are team building. So it's gonna be a lot of activity. There's we do from 40 people to 300, at a time. So and this is us going to elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, doing these events, these assemblies, going to summer camps, doing these game shows, going to corporate conferences. So we had to adapt, and we started doing more virtual stuff. And it's one of those things that you have to. It's a lot of kind of seeing how things pan out, because especially for schools, like how they're doing their schooling with half virtual or going in person, yada yada yada. So then it was like, all right, well, we have our virtual game show that works now for whatever y'all figure out. So whenever y'all figure out how y'all gonna do your school, if y'all want to have an assembly, something fun, we do have something for virtual. So there was that. And I might drop a couple of like sayings and quotes, but one thing I also live by is just it's adapt or die. Like, I mean, that's just Darwinism, right? Like, it's the one that's willing to adapt that's gonna survive. And that was one. And luckily for us, most of our stuff for water ice is online, which is blog, press releases and news and all that stuff. So that really didn't help us. I mean, that didn't really hurt us as much. It actually helped us a lot, because people were at home, they're on their phones more, they're on their computers more. We were just busy, we're finding news, we're creating we had to create content that was COVID friendly. We did some really cool cooking tutorials. We still did interviews. We still did podcasts. So luckily we were still able to do a lot of the things that we already did. We just weren't able to do events.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you got to figure it out,
Exactly. And you actually answered one of the questions I was going to ask you is, if you felt that COVID has been more of help than a hindrance. And from what you're saying, it sounds like it's, at least from the water ice standpoint, it seems like it's really helped you guys since most of that is based online. So
yeah, I mean, look, it's only going to affect you if you let it to a certain extent. I want to be insensitive because a lot of people were affected, like I said, service industry and just school and retail. They got affected a lot. We're lucky enough to be in a realm where, just online and digital media is wealth. It's key. So we were able to transition and pivot a lot of things that we've done already into a more virtual thing. Before I continue, I just want to say, like, how did Zoom just totally kill Skype? Like
everything. They just took everything over.
I didn't even know what Zoom was until pandemic. I was like, nobody Skypes anymore? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like I before the pandemic, I think I maybe have used Zoom once. Like it was installed on my computer because I think I did I don't even remember what the heck it was. I think it was like some sort of meeting that I did online with one of the networking groups that I'm a part of. And that was the one time that I used it.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic happened, and here I am using it like 3, 4, 5 times a week now. And it's like they have to be making a killing. Like somewhere or another,
how they wiggled their
right.
I mean, I haven't used Skype in so long. Like, I haven't used it in so long. So I was like, I was just going with the flow. But that's kind of off subject. But
that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other thing we could talk about, just how apps and whatever. But just with we were fortunate enough to kind of pivot our the way we've done stuff traditionally into more virtual and digital, and it really didn't mess up our rhythm, really. Like when we did our podcast with Lauren, when I do them with Lauren, shout out to Lauren. It was just a different vessel.
Yeah.
The rhythm was still there, the groove was still there, and we were still able to do what we needed to do.
That's what's up, man. Cool. And it's awesome that you were able to, adapt when, a lot of business owners and a lot of other people really haven't. And again, I don't want to be, insensitive either, but again, like you said, when it comes to doing business, you have to adopt some sort of Darwinism, when it comes to moving forward. You really have to, unfortunately, adapt or die. And luckily, we're starting to slowly see people doing that more and just accepting it, which, once you accept it, things become a lot easier. And that's with almost everything in life, right? So I really do feel as though that, since they've started to accept that, now they're starting to move into a place where they can be more comfortable. Now they can, start moving forward and doing what they need to do to survive. So.
That's a very great point. It's a very underrated point. Especially with companies that aren't necessarily well-versed in technology in general. We've worked with companies that have been around for 20, 30 years, whatever, but their website may not be great, or they don't know about Facebook analytical data and like all this new wave stuff. They're like, we don't want to work. We just want to.
It's like you have to.
Yeah, and I totally get it, and that allows brand strategists and all those people to make their money, because now you're putting these people on because you show them how. And I think with COVID and the fact that you couldn't go anywhere and you really had to figure out online and digital and how it works, I think that it actually helped people who didn't want to, or just didn't have the time, or whatever the case may be. Now they're like, all right, well,
now I have to.
Now I have to. All right, let me dive in. But now I think they're going to see the value in it. And it's like, oh, and then they're going to be like, I should have been doing this a long time ago. And then we're like, yeah,
from Jump Street.
Yeah. But I think now when you said like they're accepting it and they're open to it, how can it make this work for me? And then they realize how efficient it is, and I could just work from home and not have to be there, and then online orders, and like it all makes sense. So I think that you gotta find the silver linings and stuff like this, because most tragedies, it opens the door to opportunities that that have probably maybe been there or not been there, or you didn't notice it was there. But now you're trying to, being desperation, you're like, what is out there? And then you open all these doors, like, oh, okay, we can do this, we can do this. I think it definitely opens that stuff up to people wanting to learn. And as I said before, you gotta be able to want to keep learning. You don't want to just be in the same spot.
Yeah, like
especially if it can help you save money and make more money.
Listen, if I have not learned one thing during the past 7 months of being locked up in these four walls within this apartment, it's how to be more efficient with things. And especially when it comes to content creation, because at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know if you have had a hand in any editing with Water Ice or anything like that, but I'm doing editing for photo shoots. I'm doing editing for my YouTube channel. I'm doing editing for both of my Instagram feeds. And, at the end of the day, like, the only way that you're going to be able to survive and be able to get all this content out there, because you have to have content out there. It doesn't matter what kind of business that you do. You have to have some sort of online presence. You have to have content out there. And if you don't figure out a way to streamline all of that, whether it's from the processes side or the hardware side or the software side, you're screwed. Just period. You know what I mean? So like, you have to have those systems in place. You have to figure out how to streamline those things, whether it's streamlining your own stuff or just leveraging other people that are possibly better at that skill than you are to take that workload off of you.
Absolutely.
I mean, when it comes to Water Ice, Hector is his name, right?
Hector.
Yeah. He realized that, you probably were going to be a better fit as a host than he was. So he gave you that job so that way he could focus on everything that goes on behind the scenes, as far as the shooting, as far as the editing, that sort of thing. And I think business owners in general, especially when it comes to like the younger ones that are just starting out and just, want to learn how to do this, I think one of the main things that they have to get out of and wrap their head around is not trying to do everything yourself. Because at that point, you don't have a business, you have a job. And the whole reason why we go into the business is so that way we don't have to have a job. So it's like you're just putting yourself in the same situation. You know what I mean?
So, I mean, I know, just speaking for, within Water Ice, there's 4 of us that are really like the main, focal points. And I know, like you said earlier, Hector, he told me himself, he's like, I'm not a camera dude. Like, if I have to, if you're sick or whatever, I will, but I'd rather just be behind the scenes, running the business, doing the editing, that kind of stuff. And I was like, cool, because I don't want to do the editing. I tried that. I tried that in college. And I was like, this is not for me. Like, this is not for me. Like, I am good. I'd rather be on camera doing what I need to do, yada, yada, yada. And when you have a team where you could trust and delegate, because we hold each other accountable. We delegate to each other. We have stronger suits than other things. Like, I may be better at events than Hector, and he's better at editing and camera work and all that kind of the technical stuff. Lauren's better at the podcast, and Farah's just better with everything. You know what I mean? Like, we all could take cues from each other without it being like, you're not my boss, or like having some attitude, because we have that relationship, we have that trust. If we mess up, we hold you accountable, vice versa. Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We all have the same goal, and we're not going to be able to accomplish those goals if we get petty, if we get too cool for whatever. Like, you got to be able to take constructive criticism from each other. We got to be able to take orders when need be. Like, hey, I need you to go pick this up because I got to go this. I got you. Boom. What else do you need? Having that relationship is hard. And when you build your team, it's very important to trust the people that are on your team, because if you don't trust them, or if you're like talking behind their back, or if you're petty, then it's like, it's over from the rip. Like, it's over. Yep. If there's any problems, let's go through it. We'll yell at each other when we need to. We're family. We good. Hug it out. All right, we got to work on this project. Let's go.
There we go. Trust the
Yeah.
process. That's what we say around here in 215, right? Trust the process.
That's right, man.
So let's go ahead and get into a little bit of the content stuff. So
Cool.
with me especially, and a lot of other people that follow this channel, from the camera side of things, we tend to be gearheads. Me especially. Like you've seen some of my stuff. You've only seen a fraction of the crap that
I'm
I got,
looking at
right?
your camera. I'm looking at your camera right now. I'm like, you have a different like computer camera because that thing looks sharp. Like,
So this actually isn't on my laptop. So I'm actually using my regular photography and video camera hooked up to my laptop and using that as a as a webcam.
Right.
And I have the light that you see on this side of my face. I think it's a 8-foot light diffuser that I have. Yeah. So it's like this huge.
It looks like I'm watching a. It looks like I'm watching a movie. Like that's how I'm like. Wait a minute, is that my camera too?
That was the plan. That was the plan.
Fair enough. So, looks good.
I had to like set it up. You know.
Nah, it looks good. It looks good. You were saying you're more of like the gearhead, the more technical stuff.
Yeah. So. So I know that Hector does a lot of the the camera stuff when you guys are doing most of your content, but you do a lot of content just from your phone, right? And I think a lot of people, especially if they want to get into content creation, they think they have to go out there and buy like a multi-$1,000 DSLR or new mirrorless body or something along those lines. And there's actually a lot of stuff that you can do with just your phone. Offhand, you know of any apps that you use for content that like really helps you put out something quality and something that looks different from what everybody else is doing?
I'm gonna be completely honest. When it comes to when we do our content, we actually do use DSLR camera. Like he uses a Sony. But see, before I get to that, it's one of those things where you start off with whatever you have. Whether it's a GoPro, your phone, a camera that you bought off somebody else that that can record video, whatever you have, just work with that. And then the more practice you get, the better you get, the more gigs you get, the more money you make. Then you could invest in your equipment. I mean, some people might get investors to invest in their company right off the rip, and that allows them to put a budget aside for equipment. But for someone like people like us, who we kind of just started from guerrilla, actually, you know what? Matter of fact, the camera that we first started using wasn't even Hector's camera. It was his roommate's.
Listen, whatever. If they let you borrow it, whatever works, man.
His roommate wasn't really like using it. He was like, I want to start this. It's cool. Like he actually had him kind of do a lot of the camera stuff too. But whenever he wasn't available, he let him use the camera. So it wasn't even his camera for like a year until we were able to put some money aside for a budget, and then he got his own camera. And then from there, we got a better camera in his eyes or whatever, and then we got lighting equipment. And, so like the mic, like I said, the mic, it was just like I think it was just like a mic. Yeah, it was like one of those mics that you kind of gave in a bundle package. It was like, just it connected. It had a wire, like it connected to the camera.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, I think whenever you're starting, whatever you have, just use that and just learn everything about it. If you're using like an iPhone camera, learn everything about that camera, how the settings are, all that stuff. And then when you get to when you graduate to get an actual, video camera or whatever, then you take that and put it into that, and you learn everything about that camera. YouTube is your friend. Like I said, Hector, he learned everything on YouTube. Like he would just go on rabbit holes. He would research his favorite music video directors from back in the day. He would research if he saw like a commercial that was dope, who did that commercial, and then you gotta get into these habits of just mastering your craft. Especially when you're first starting, because like I said, he didn't go to school for that. I hadn't done anything like that in years. So we were just figuring it out, So whatever you have, just use it. And then from there, you can just build. And then then from there, you might run into someone who might have a camera. Like, hey, I have a camera. I want to do this stuff too. Let's link up. Cool. This is the vision. This is how I want you. And then you can start delegating it all. You just got to start it.
Exactly. And one thing that you said that really, really should be rule number one for anybody, especially if they want to get into content. Focus on your craft. You have to focus on your craft. Oh my God. I to this day, like literally this week, I've had no less than 3 people, message me and be like, what camera should I get? I'm trying to get into photography. I'm trying to get into filmmaking and this and third. What camera should I get, right? And again, like it got to a point where I'm actually in the middle of doing a whole series on what cameras you can do for whatever you're trying to do, within content. If you're trying to be a filmmaker or a photographer or a combination of the two, right? But the whole thing is, again, people forget. Where's my phone? My phone's over there. I'm not gonna go get it. But you can do so much with just an iPhone. Like you gotta think. Like there's literal feature films that have been made on an iPhone, right? Yeah. Like music you don't need the biggest, best camera to go out there and produce content. You literally have a creation tool in your pocket with you at all times.
Right.
You learn it, like you said, learn it like the back of your hand. And once you get those skills, once you learn how to do composition and lighting and color grading and script making and storyboarding and all that shit.
Right.
Like once you learn all of that, then you can upgrade to a new camera. And once you do upgrade to a new camera, you bring all those tools with you. And now you're going to really be able to knock it out the park because you already have all that experience built up on something that made it harder for you. So now you have something that makes it easier for you.
Absolutely.
And you combine your skills that you have with it.
You're absolutely right. Like Hector, he'll get excited if he gets like a new lens. I'm just like, I don't get as excited as he does, but I love that he gets excited because that means he fell in love with what he does. And he understands how that's going to bring value to the content that we're going to do. I like this. He'd be like, I like this lens because we could do stuff at night now. I'm like, all right, cool. We have a bunch of ideas that we kind of kept in the vault because we didn't have the right equipment or it was gonna be too tricky. But now we can do it because we have the equipment. Like, all right, bet. So I get that aspect. But yeah, like if you're really serious about it, you want to be serious about like just technology and understanding how to use things. You want to be like, yo, the new Sony blah 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 just came out. Now we'll be able to have a drone and blah 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 blah. Like cool. All right. You gotta go with that energy because it's like, it's the momentum. You're like, all right, let's go. Let's plan it. We'll storyboard it. Cool. It's okay. It's not like nerdy. I mean, it is nerdy, but it's not cool to be into stuff. Like some people just be like, they're just like, they're just too cool. It's like, nah, be excited about it. Like this could change your life. Like this is supposed to be fun. Like not for nothing. Like I just wanted to do like video stuff. And the first couple of videos that we did, I mean, most of the stuff we do is fun. It's still fun, but it was like, let's just go to Condom Kingdom and ask people about sex. And we did. We went down there and like, we asked the manager, hey, cool. We just interviewed some people. They're like, yeah, they're cool. Like, all right, cool. If you go on YouTube, we have a couple of videos from that, like on South Street. But like, that's what I'm saying. You want to be excited about this stuff because if you're really serious about it, you should be excited about it.
Definitely. Cool. So let's talk a little bit more about water rights, right? So let's say that COVID didn't happen hypothetically, right? Let's just take the whole pandemic thing out of the equation. If that did not occur, what were some of the things that you would have liked to have done this year? Like something that you haven't done before as far as either content or working with somebody specific that you've always wanted to work with? Like what was some of the goals for you personally for Water Rice that you wanted to try and hit for this year?
Yeah, every year we have goals, and every year so far we've been hitting them. This year was going to be the year for events for us. Obviously, we're going to still do our podcast. We're still do some video segments. We're still going to go to festivals and events and put a showcase on that. We were still going to do the written content. But we were really focusing on events because we actually had a partnership with Tito's vodka, where we actually had a budget and we weren't coming out of pocket. And then, you know, it was like, they liked what we did. They liked what we did with, I mean, it all comes back to the content, because we would do, we did Soul in the City, which is like I said earlier, is our music showcase for local artists. And we did a thing where, I mean, you see it on other award shows or whatever, where they have like a green room that's sponsored by like Heineken or whatever.
Yeah.
So we kind of did that on a smaller scale. We were just like, we had a connection with Tito's. We're like, hey, we're having this event. Is it cool if you get a case for the green room, and in return we could turn the green room into the Tito's vodka green room, and that's what we do, like interviews with the artists before they come on, and maybe when they get off, and just talk about how the crowd was, blah 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 blah. They're like, cool. They gave us some cases. We just set up a camera. We just called it. We had some Tito's around. We were welcome back to the Tito's green room, blah 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 blah. So after the event was done, we did a every event we do a recap video.
Yeah.
And they loved it. We sent it to them like, hey, this is what we did. I hope you like it. They loved it. They set up a meeting. We're like, hey, we want to do events with y'all. What ideas you got? This is how much we're gonna give y'all. And if we kill it, we'll give you more. We're like, cool. And we already had events, and so like I said, that was gonna be our thing. The cool thing with the events and with the content was the last couple of years we really ramped up our client, like I guess our client list, or I don't want to say client list because our partnerships. There you go.
Okay. That's
we worked with the Man Center. Very cool live music venue. It's actually one of those things that it's overlooked, because it's like a lot of most of the stuff for a long time was just like the orchestra stuff. But they have a really cool program throughout the summer, and it's outdoors, and we did some really cool stuff with them, and we were gonna do some really cool stuff with them again. But as far as like content, which I mean we kind of started already, but it was more of like seeing what people out there are doing and how they could kind of come to our team and continue to do the content, but under the Water Ice umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were able to still do that. We just started doing our homie Wes feeding time. He has this really cool cooking content videos that he does, and he just has so much energy. He's really dope, and the food that he makes is bomb. And he also goes to places and he like kind of just eats the food and tells you how good it is. It's just really cool, fun. Everybody loves food, and it's like here in Philly. So we started doing that kind of stuff, and we work with the Fashion District and help them with their content with the Fashion Insider, and they like highlight what's going on within the Fashion District, whether it's Fashion Week or a new business that opened up, new retail events that they had going on, stuff like that. So it's kind of building on the partnerships that we were able to connect with over the last couple of years, and then just helping them with their content. Like the Fashion District, they didn't have any online presence other than Instagram posts, and now they have like a whole video.
They literally have everything now, sort of.
yeah. Like they have other people, within who they hire for Fashion Week, whatever, they have their stuff, so they tag and whatever, and then now working with them and giving them their own video content for them, for their websites, for their, for their branding. So that's pretty much what we focused on. And then as far as more content, we wanted to do something what we did 2015, 16, where we pretty much produced our own TV show, which is something I got to check off my bucket list.
I remember that. That was actually pretty dope.
Yeah, it was the Scoop, and it was like a 20-minute kind of like one of my favorite shows that people never know what it is. But Carson Daly had the show Last Call with Carson Daly. It would come on later.
Oh damn! See, there you go, giving away our age again, man. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's still on. It might still be on. It might not be, but it was on for like 17 years or whatever it was. And
yeah,
it was basically Carson Daly, and he had like 3 segments in a show. He had a one-on-one. He always showed a new band that was up and coming at the end. So I kind of wanted that style, and we actually did it. We there was one day we went to like 4 different locations, and we did the intros and segues and stuff, and then we were able to take that day of shoot and put it into 6 episodes.
That's awesome.
And it made it seem like it was a different location, and it was cool because we were able to go to like cool like locations in Philly and put them on the map. Like for instance, Keystone Mini Golf. We were like, hey, we want to do this video stuff, and like we like the vibe here. Is it cool if we just shoot here for an hour? They're like, cool, and we did. And then we went to Eastern State Penitentiary. They let us like shoot in the Eastern State. This is 2016 too. We're not even like, they were just like, yeah, you're cool. You share stuff, cool. And they gave us an hour to shoot in the penitentiary, and we were able to like be like, hey, we're welcome back to the Philly Scoop. We're still here at the Eastern State Penitentiary. We gave some fun fact about the penitentiary to get them business, and then we went on with the show. Now we got coming up. We interviewed Freeway. Check out the video for that, and we did it. Like, so we were able to do that. Yeah.
So really quick. So again, for the viewers, when he says Eastern State Penitentiary, right? So it's not. It is a prison, but it's more of a museum. Like the prison part is closed down. It's a museum, and you do all kinds of events and stuff there. So
Sorry,
I don't want people like listen to it and be like, wait, why are they
the Eastern State Penitentiary
in a prison?
Yeah, it used to. Al Capone used to be in there. And I don't even know what year it stopped, but now it's like a museum, and now they have the haunted house. I forget what it's called, but they do that. So, but like you could go anytime. Like it's like a tour. You could check out the rooms. But yes, they were able to. We were able to get access to that and shoot from there. So basically, what I'm saying is like I want taking some of the older content that we've done, recycling it to more modern times, even though it was just like 3 years ago. But now that we have better technology, we have more partnerships, we have more access to even more stuff. Now it's like, all right, we can bring that back with a new revamped thing. So that was kind of what we wanted to do. And depending on how COVID is and with the whole opening things up, that's where we want to kind of just revert back to. It's like, all right, whatever we had planned for 2020, let's just shift it to 2021 because it's still gonna work.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So last thing, because whenever I do these interviews, I always tell people, all right, we're going to try and keep it under 30 minutes, and it never ends up that way. So I'm not going to try and keep it too much longer, right?
I get it, but sometimes you need to hear it. You need to hear it.
This is what happens,
Yeah.
But so as it stands right now, I'm gonna pose this question regarding Water Ice, but also Philly as a whole, right?
Okay.
Because you have the same mindset as me. Like I love my city. I was born here. I was raised here. I only did not live in this city for just while I was in college, and then I came, right back, right? So I have a very distinct love, for my city, but I feel as though that, how can I put this in a way that's not offensive, right? Like I want us to do more. Right, because I can't speak towards the content community, but as far as the dance community, this used to be a really big town as far as people from out of state to come here and social dance. Right,
I was a part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
I remember.
So,
yeah.
But like nowadays, people think Philly and they're literally thinking about it as just a hole in the wall between New York and DC and Baltimore, right? It sucks. But what do you think that we can do, not only as a dance community, but also as a community of creators? What do you think that we can do to try and, give out-of-towners an idea that we're more than just, a stopgap between two other well-known cities? Like what can we do collectively to try and put Philly on the map again?
Which is very bizarre because Philly's like the 4th biggest media company or media city in the country, which is
it's so weird,
bizarre. But I totally I get it. I could say for the digital part, the digital content part, we could do. I think we got to understand. I mean, I think with the East Coast, it's very competitive, right? Which is cool. You want to have that competitive edge, but I think we got to take the mentality of Atlanta rappers. Now, follow me. Like Atlanta rappers, they all collaborate with each other. They all jump on each other's records. It's reciprocal. There's really no beef within each other. And then when that one artist like blows up, then they bring the other artists up. The producers, they like there's a model in Atlanta where it's like everybody's just like, yo, you got a record that's hot, yo, I got my boy. Like, I don't know, it's just more collaborative. And what I'm trying to get at is everybody can eat.
Yeah.
Like this whole mentality of I'm not gonna be cool with them because they do what we do. And it's like, I get it, but we're doing it differently. And there's plenty of room at the table for everybody to eat. We're not like, I get it if you're stealing ideas or copying or whatever. I get that, but a simple collaborating without any pettiness or they only got like 5,000 followers, like I'm good. And then when that 5,000 followers goes to 20, then they want to come. It's like, do you think it's dope or not? If you do, then cool, let's work. More times, like for us, we're very open to even having a meeting. Like if it's something that we could work with each other, like, oh, there's value in it. We give you value, give us value, cool. Like we'll work it out. But if not, it's still business, right? Like, no, it's not for us, but I may know someone else who might want to, do something with you, whatever. Like, that's what I'm trying to get. I think we just gotta collaborate on a more of, oh, I'm gonna wait till they, get so and so 1,000 views or 1,000,000 views or whatever, or they got a video that's viral. I'm gonna hit them up because they hit us up before. Like, it's unfortunate because and not everybody's gonna understand the vision, or not everybody's gonna wanna, mess with you. They might think it's corny, and that's cool too. Like we'll keep it moving, but I think there's a lot of just weird energy about just working with each other, unless there's something in it for them. Like, why can't it just be like, yo, I saw what y'all did, it's just dope, I do something like that, or I think I could do something with you guys, let's talk. Cool, all right. Doesn't matter how many followers, doesn't matter how many views. Like, if it looks cool, if it's dope, something that you want to like be with, like, why wouldn't you? Why does it matter how many million followers or whatever, or Office Space or whatever? If it's cool, if it's dope to you, why not just try to work with it? I think that's where we got to get now with the dance community. Like, I don't know, it's really weird. It's a weird thing, man. Like, so weird. Like, I just remember, like, back in the day, I remember, like, New York people would come to Philly, DC people come to Philly people go into DC, people, like, they went to the Salsa Congress in Chicago. Like, I don't know, man. I haven't been in that scene in so long, so I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. But I don't know. I don't have any answers for that.
It's like, I can't speak.
I'm not in that scene anymore, but it's very cliquey.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be even before it was still cliquey, but it was still cool because, like, even if you try to dance with someone who's like amazing, they still give you that dance. Like, they weren't looking at you like crazy, which is cool. And like, at the end of the day, we just want to dance, right? I'm not, it is what it is, but it's just like a very like, kind of. Yeah. And I'm, and that's just off of my experience. Like,
listen, trust me, that is a perfect observation, and it unfortunately it does go a little deeper than that.
For sure.
And what you said as far as what we can do as a whole, content wise and artist wise, I think that those ideas definitely need to be applied more towards the Latin dance scene here in Philly. Like, you have instances where people are basically concentrating more on the business aspect of things than the dance side of things, and because they concentrate so much on the business aspect, the dance aspect suffers.
Right.
And you really have to find that balance between the two. At the end of the day, if you're in the dance community from a business standpoint, yes, this is a business, but at the end of the day, it's still a people-oriented business.
Absolutely.
And if you are not, even if you're not a people person, you still have to make yourself approachable, and you will have to be able to put yourself out there and go out on a limb to reach out to other people and help other people that, might need some help and that sort of thing. Right.
Yeah.
Another thing is, with these studios, unfortunately, a lot of studios, there's a lot of beef there. So much beef,
Absolutely.
right? Unfortunately, because I've worked or trained or performed at almost all of the studios in the area, I've seen it from a behind the scenes aspect, so I know a lot about what goes on behind the scenes. But
Sure.
that's going to come into play whenever you have egos, and I really do feel as though that once it gets to a point where people put the egos aside and start collaborating together, like you said, I think that's when we're going to really start seeing a change. When people start trying to uplift each other, I really do feel as though that's when we're going to see a significant change, because at the end of the day, Philly produced some really quality dancers, and you really don't see that anymore. But it can get back to that if there's a significant push all across the board. We can have that again. Like New York has done it. Like there's 50 million different dance studios and dance instructors and dance companies up in New York. And yeah, of course they're going to have tension there. Like it's the nature of the beast. But they realize that the only way for everybody to work together and make sure that their city is on the map is for them to put those egos aside and work together when it comes down to it and when it's absolutely necessary.
Right.
And I think that once Philly gets back into that mindset, then we were going to see that shift.
So I got a question for you. And with the dance scene, I remember when I first learned, this was 2005. Even then, there wasn't a lot of like men that danced. Do you think there's even less men that dance? And I only ask that because when you go dancing, you obviously see, you see more girls dance with girls because most dudes don't want to dance because they're too cool for it or they're insecure about dancing. They might just stick to bachata, merengue because it's easier.
Yeah.
I just remember when I learned, it was it was a lot more dudes dancing. Like I learned from my best friend. Like he was the one that I saw him dancing. I'm like, I need to learn
do
that now. He danced with this gorgeous woman, and it was just like, you want to dance? Yes, cool. Everybody's going crazy. I need to learn that. And that's kind of what it was. Like it was just like, and then we would go to all the, salsa spots in Philly, hood like low key neighborhood bars and the bigger clubs, the stuff in Center City. We go to salsa socials in New York. Like it was just like we just went, and it was like a thing. And I don't know, is that still like a thing where like a lot of dudes just don't, like the generation don't really like dance like that?
Funnily enough, when you were still in the dance community, there was, it may not seem like it to you, but there was a lot more leads and a lot more gentlemen in the dance community than there is right now. And before anybody says anything, as far as the women dancing, when there's nothing wrong with that. You can be a lead as well as a follow. There's nothing wrong with that. Before y'all even start in the comments and everything.
I wasn't even going in that direction. I was just saying like you just go and you see it. But my thing was you see a lot of men there, and they're just watching. It's like, do they want to dance?
A lot of times when you go to the salsa socials, especially at like bars and restaurants and that sort of thing, a lot of these guys that you're seeing around the dance floors watching are patrons left over from the restaurant hours. So that's from that aspect, right? But as far as leads that are guys that are actual like dancers and whatnot, there definitely has been a shift to there being now a plethora of women in the community and not as many guys that are interested in it. And funnily enough, we're actually seeing this with Esencia Latina, Temple University's Latin dance team. Right in that last semester before COVID, I had I want to say maybe 12, 13 girls and maybe like
2 dudes or something.
6, 7. Like last semester was, I think, the highest amount of guys that I've ever had coaching for that team. And this is going on 3 years, right? And it was like 6 or 7 guys. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel as though that all around, there really isn't much interest from the guys in learning how to dance. except when you bring out the bachata. You bring out bachata, like, wait, I can dance with a girl right here, and
Right.
if you don't mind, work. So now
Right.
so as far as from that aspect, you have like a relatively large influx of guys now learning bachata because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I can dance sensual, and she's not gonna get met.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So of course,
Right.
guys are gonna jump on that, right? You know what I mean? So,
Right. I mean, for me, it was just a numbers game. I'm like, as a hetero dude, if there's 12 girls and there's only 3 dudes dancing, I'm like,
why would you not want to be a part of that? I don't.
Numbers don't lie. I'm like, all right, cool.
I'm
like,
saying, you know,
that's how I saw that. So I was like, and it's funny because when I the first time I got with Cynthia, it was like they were so happy to see just 6 guys walk in. They're like, oh my god, guys want to try out. Yeah,
dude, every semester, that's me. Like whenever we have tryouts, and I see guys come in, I'm just like, thank you, guys.
Yeah, it just adds to the dynamic of a team, you know.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I was like, again, I'm green to the whole Latin dance scene. So I was like, what is happening? So I was like, all right. So it was just for me, it was so cool just to be a part of something like that for so long, and being able, like you said, to go to different cities and seeing the different styles and like, you know, just dancing with just the most beautiful people. You're just like, wow, this is really cool. Like, it's such a cool thing. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to be a part of it. Is all I'm saying.
I don't understand. I try and get my students, especially on Sensia, you know, to bring more guys out. It's like, look, let them know, like, even with you guys bringing more gentlemen on, you're still going to be outnumbered. Why would you not want to be a part of that? I don't know. I mean, I'm still working on some things to, you know, get more guys interested. I mean, again, it's all about the content, right? It's all about marketing it correctly. So we've got some things in the works that we're working on and trying to get more guys, because we were able to actually do a all men's routine last semester and the semester before, and I really want to do that again because we actually had a lot of fun with that. So.
That's cool. That's cool. You don't see that often.
We'll see what happens. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But yeah, so before we go, is there any links or anything that you got coming up that you want the audience to check out? I know you've got a whole bunch of stuff going on with Water Ice, but is there like basically give the whatever you want to promote? Like, now's your time. Like, go ahead and promote whatever it is out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, if you just follow us on Instagram, Facebook, it's at Water WOODER _ICE. Very funny.
I love it so much.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram. Facebook is Water Ice, WODERICE. On YouTube as well. YouTube literally has every single piece of video content we've ever done. Nice. From the beginning of 2014 to now. Podcasts, everything. Speaking of podcasts, we are on all major streaming platforms, so Spotify, Apple, YouTube, I think SoundCloud, if I'm not mistaken. But again, look up Water Ice Radio, WOODERICE Radio, and there's Lauren Reed Live Show. There's the Uncensored Podcast. We have all our episodes on Spotify. You should go check it out, and we talk to really cool people, artists, musicians, politicians, sex experts, witches. Like, we have a whole plethora.
Everybody on there. Damn.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's
so
awesome.
If you're into podcasts, you want some cool listening, something to listen to that's cool, definitely check us out on that. My personal page, you want to go to I am Jay the Gentleman on Instagram. I got some things dropping soon. So definitely, if you want to check that out. Yeah, it's been something I've been pushing out for a long time, but because of COVID, I was like, there's no reason not to, so let's get it going. And then also the game show stuff. If you work in a school, or if you work with a company, you want to do something fun for your employees or whatever, look us up. It is uniquegameshow.com. We offer virtual game shows, very fun team building, event that we do online, and it's 45-minute game show, and it's a lot of fun. So definitely look us up. I mean, I think that's it. I think I got it.
Like I said, you're all over the place. It doesn't even matter if it's in person or online. You're all over the place, and that's awesome. I love it. Cool.
Right
Jay, again, thank you so much for being on the channel today. I really do appreciate it more than you know. I've been trying to get this done. So
No,
it's
listen.
cool that we actually, were able to knock this out of the park.
No, this is honestly, man. It's my pleasure, and this is something that's very important for people to watch. And I thank you for even having me on, or even having this concept, because I think people want to figure out things, and they don't know where to start. So when you interview people like myself and other people that are in that realm, I think it gives people that confidence that they could do it too. And that's all. Like, honestly, I'm not doing anything that's not already been done or anything special. I just had something that we wanted to do, and we just started doing it. And we got a lot to do, and we have more goals that we want to get to, but it's just a matter of time. So I thank you for even having this platform.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. And we're gonna talk after this, but
Sure.
I think we're gonna end it at this point. It's like, and it's been almost an hour and a half now. I think I've kept you long enough.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry. Before I leave, also, sorry. Before I leave, the last thing, our merch. So you go to Water Ice Unlimited on Instagram, or if you just go to our page, we have our website, waterice.com. You'll see the shop menu, and that's like all of our merch. We have these cool hoodies, and we actually designed this before COVID. Just letting you know. We have cool hoodies, tees, hats. We're gonna work on some fall stuff. We're gonna bring out some jackets, some light jackets, stuff like that. Maybe even some baby clothes, some kids' clothes too. So just, if you like what you see, go to waterice.com, check out the merch. We got stuff like this too. So yeah, I wanted to plug that before we.
Yes, good job remembering that, because people need to see. Anything with Benjamin Franklin the mask is definitely in style right now. So you guys need to just hop on there, waterice.com, get the merch, okay? Again, thank you so much, Jay, for coming on to the show today. I really do appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check out all the links. They're going to be down below for you guys to check out. Definitely check out the podcast, check out that merchandise, check out their videos on the YouTube channel. They got some great content for you guys to check out and see how it's done. In the meantime, once again, my name is Brandon. This has been Dancers That Shoot. Everybody, please stay safe out there, stay blessed, and go put a dent in the universe. All right? You guys have a great night. See ya.